York's classic rock, Q1043.
Ken Dashow, Q104.3, New York's classic rock in the studio. Man, you can't have classic rock with this gentleman and somebody who's a hero. So your music has been so much a part of my life for so long. John Anderson of Yes fame. Welcome back.
Good to be here.
And with him is our dear friend from Blue Öyster Cult, who many of you know, Richie Castellano. Been in the band how many years now?
20 years.
Not enough.
Yeah, compared to the guy sitting next to you. So here's the weirdest thing of how this came about. Richie, his side project, because we've always talked about, we're big prog rock fans. You started this band playing prog rock and Yes called the Band Geeks.
Yep.
Right? Now, how did this happen? How did Richie Castellano from Staten Island and the Band Geeks connect to John Anderson?
We had a video, I think you saw either Heart of the Sunrise or Close to the Edge, and a friend of his, or your webmaster, John Amick, sent him the link saying, you got to watch this, and you did, and then I think you said, get me that guy's number.
Yeah,
and then,
right away. I mean, these guys were just so exciting.
But here's that's the thing, John, that blows my mind, is that you would think that I wouldn't say that, you would think somebody of your stature where you are now in your career would go, wow, great, tell them I'm proud of them or good luck. I wouldn't think that you would say, I want to go out and tour with them. That is a huge leap that many people, because you don't know them, you haven't worked with them. What made you take that jump?
Well, they just looked so happy.
Got it.
And they were playing Heart of the Sunrise so well, and I just said to John Amick, I said, give me Richie's number, please, quick, now, which I did. I got the number, and I called Richie up, and I said, Richie, you and the Geeks are fantastic. Let's go on tour.
That's wonderful.
That was it.
And thank you, because that is a gift of gifts to us, to the fans, because this album and now DVD, it's John Anderson and the Band Geeks. I don't have to blow smoke. We've known each other a long time. As fans, this is the best sounding live, concert, performance, and recording we may have heard in like 20 years. It's alive. Because, as you said, I see the joy in their faces when they're playing this, and it's so obvious that enmeshes you, because you've always had such spirituality and joy. When it comes through with this band, man, the room just elevates.
It's really amazing. And Richie's an incredible producer.
As Blue Öyster Cult found out very quickly, is they went from, let's give the kid a chance to, we can't do this without him.
Well, it's very nice of you to say.
But it's true. So Westbury on Friday night, John Anderson, the Band Geeks, and Carteret Pack Sunday night. I last saw you in Staten Island at the beautiful St. George Theater, and what an electric night. So, John, what's this journey been of having this sudden, I guess, unexpected? Where if you hadn't met them, would you have toured?
I'm trying to think what you just said. It's kind of amazing to me what's happening. You know, I was working in my studio, writing songs, and I've been doing that for a long time. And then linked up with Richie. I sent him a song with just me on acoustic guitar, and he sent it back about 10 days later, and it sounded like a symphony. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, this is so good in my life, my time of life, to be able to go on stage with these guys. It's pure magic. It's incredible.
And the thing is, to tour is a whole different kettle of fish. So many people, you guys think, it's so much fun, and girls and sex and cars and things. If you knew, and I've said this to you guys before, if you knew how grueling it is, how difficult the grind of touring, as to be able to do it and do it well, as everybody says, they pay me to travel, I sing for free.
Yeah.
And the touring, and I guess, we've always talked about the squabbles that Yes always had through the ages. And didn't you said, if I recall correctly, that you and Chris Squire, may rest in peace, that he was Darth Vader and you were Obi-Wan?
Kenobi.
Yes. Now there's a relationship in a band.
No, Chris always used to say to me, walk over and look down at me and say, John, I just want to make you happy. So I'll give him a hug.
That's beautiful. So to that end, there's one of our producers, Andrew, and he is in this band, 100,000, and they play lots of different chord projections and complicated time signatures and stuff, which is the point about the band geeks is it's not a band just playing 4/4 time or playing rock and roll. This is very complex music to do great or to even do okay. But you guys nail it. You absolutely do it. So Andrew, our friend from the band, asked me, when you're writing songs, when you were writing these songs, how do you decide who's the boss? How do you decide what's going to be in 7/4 time? This is going to change. How do you construct these epic songs with all the different time signatures?
You looking at me?
Yes. Well, you would come in. You told me you came in with an acoustic guitar and a song.
Yeah. And Richie just magnified it into an incredible piece of music. And Richie's got all these ideas, the same as me. And we actually did this album a year ago. And it's amazing that we did it via Zoom.
Yeah.
You know, once a week we get together Tuesday afternoon for 3 hours and chat and listen, think of this, think of that. And within a month we had an album going, and it just sounded so good. And you play it over and over and think to yourself, this is just unbelievable.
And was that the same process of making the classics, of doing Gates of Delirium and Close to the Edge? How did those...
There's no Zoom.
There was there's no Zoom meetings. You're in a room.
No, it's I think one of the things when we first agreed to get together and go on tour, I said, let's do Gates of Delirium. Why epics and classics, you know. And we did, and we've had a great time doing that. And we've also created in the new album more classics, and they're very yesified.
Yesified. I like that. That's a good verb.
Oh, yeah.
We yesified the new songs. I mean, on this video, Yours Is No Disgrace, Perpetual Change, Close to the Edge, the whole thing, Heart of the Sunrise, whole thing, Starship Trooper, Worship, and You and I, or your move, I've Seen All Good People, Gates of Delirium, Innocent. This is amazing. This is brilliant. I love this. It sounds so good. Again, Friday night, Westbury, Sunday night, the Carteret Pack. And God, if you're like me, a prog fan, a Yes fan, it's not that you won't be disappointed. You're going to come out walking on air because it's so beautiful.
Well, I do.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? It's not something that's fun. You know this. You read. You can feel a performer's energy.
Yeah.
You perform when they're doing a professional thing, but you just feel there's a distance or there's a disconnect or something. They're just going through it. I mean, every time we see McCartney on stage, and I saw the Rolling Stones last year, and all this time, Mick is still wiggling his ass and just running around, and it's still the Stones.
Yeah.
You know, he's still putting everything he has into every show. And it's the one thing that I'm not sure that younger bands have to get is you can do that once. Can you do that every night? Isn't that the hardest part of touring? Can you bring
He does
your
it
best?
every night. We play a 2-hour show, 2.5-hour show. And, we could make it easier on ourselves, but we don't. He wants to present this vision of the music, and he wants to give the people as much as we can. And I think we do.
How much are you?
Has it always been that way? Has that always been your mindset, John? Give everything every night?
Oh, yeah. Why are you on stage? You got to go on stage knowing what you got to do, and you get a feeling within a couple of minutes that you're getting it right, and keep it going, and let it build and build and build until the end of the show. And you finish it with standing ovations every night. It's really good.
It's got to feel great. Do you ever think back, because I talked to these guys, the Blue Oyster Cult guys, 50 years when they hit their anniversary, and I was hosting that because we're friends. You look back on this journey and where it started. The last time we talked, we talked about John in the early days riding on the truck going to Liverpool, if you remember that story, going to the Cavern Club.
Yeah.
And starting, I mean, you want to talk about a place to start. That's a place to start. Tell me about, like, the first tours with Yes. Tell me about first going out. What was it? Chaotic? Was it insane?
Well, actually, it was in a big red van, and the driver was this guy, an Australian guy called Michael Tate.
Not that you remember that. Oh my God, you remember his name?
Yeah, I just saw him last week. He created Tate Towers, one of the biggest production companies in the world.
Wow.
But he was driving us around, door to door, and he said, he looked very sad that day. And I said, what's happening, Mickey? He said, I've got to go back to Australia. And I said, wait a minute, you're our driver. We wouldn't know where to go. He said, yeah, I got to go to Australia. I said, listen, what can we do to make it happen for you? He said, well, I have these ideas about lighting. And he showed me these drawings and things. Okay, how much you need, Mickey? So I gave him some money and got him together, and all of a sudden we were production-wise on tour and around England, sounding good, looking good, and things like that happened along the way. You bump into people, and all of a sudden you're with a great producer called Richie Castellano here.
Yeah.
And here we are again. It's another breath of fresh air for me.
You know what? It's karma. I really do believe it. You're a spiritual father to me, like Scott Muni was in radio. You're our old friend.
Yeah.
And just do the work. Just be honest, be sincere, keep your heart open. And that's what the music teaches us. We go back. The Beatles are my teachers. You know, all you need is love. And
True.
we get by with a little help from our friends. And you quoting it, when I loved Yes, of you quoting, give peace a chance.
Yeah.
And I remember being in my car driving and tears rolling down my eyes because I always felt it. But when you sang it, it was just, it went in so deep.
True.
Beautiful. John Anderson and the Band Geeks, Friday night at Westbury, Sunday night, Carteret Performing Arts Center. You're just going to love this. Love this. The CD and the DVD and the new songs. No lie. This is coming from your Uncle Ken here. It's fantastic. You're absolutely going to love this. So now the biggest question, I don't see anybody looking at their watch to say this should end soon. What's next for you guys? Richard?
We're having a really good time working together, and we want to keep doing it. One of the things I'm really impressed about with John is how prolific he is. I mean, you're writing constantly. I know that about you now. And I thought, this is, when he sent me Counties and Countries, I thought, this is a one-off thing. But then once we got dialed into a workflow, he said, okay, here's a new one, here's a new one, here's a new one, here's a new one. I'm like, wow, what, this guy sleep? And he just keeps writing. And the other thing is, we would send him our ideas too and say, hey, what do you think of this? And within 2 hours, he'd send it back to us with lyrics on it. And he's like, you're just
John, the engine's still on, full force, right?
It's nonstop, and I'm very impressed by it, and I admire it. So I would definitely love to keep this partnership going like that, because I think we have a good chemistry, on stage and in the studio with writing. So I love what we're doing, and I think people are responding to it.
Just sign here, please.
So the other question is, how do you tour with Band Geeks and with Blue Oyster Cult?
I don't sleep much, and I drink a lot of caffeine, so that's how we do it.
It's lucky to be in one band that's beloved, that has an audience, but to have two at the same time, it's an interesting life, Mr. Castellano.
Yes, and the Blue Oyster Cult guys, when I told them, I said, look, I have this opportunity. This is like a dream of mine since I'm 15 years old to play this music. And I would never have imagined being able to play it with John Anderson. I have to do this. And they Buck and Eric said, you have to do this. Go for it. It's great. They couldn't have been more supportive of this.
That's great. That's when you have real mates in a band.
True. Very true.
Guys, thank you so much. John Anderson, the voice of Yes, the voice that's touched my heart for so much of my life. Thank you so much always for coming up.
Thank you.
You have a home here. We love you. And Richie, what can I say? You're one of us.
That's right.
Hey, it's not just Richard Castellano from Staten Island. It's Richie from Staten Island, from The Rock. Hey, Richie, we'll go to Victory Boulevard. We'll get some pizza. Thank you so much for coming up. Again, Friday night, Westbury. Sunday night, at Carteret Pack. I'll see you guys there.
Thank you.
Great.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.